Brian Hitch's massive DC storyline begins in the pages of Justice League of America #1. Now, this story begins kind of out of continuity. It's kind of a standalone book that features all of the, main staple Justice League members, the main seven, and it's kind of, I believe it takes place sort of in the early stages of the New 52, because it seems like the DC civilians and like the politicians are kind of still getting used to this world of superheroes, because there's a scene where Aquaman, for a couple pages, kind of standing in front of the World Council and stuff, and I actually enjoy seeing that in superhero books where the characters kind of address, politics and stuff like that, because realistically, a character like Aquaman would have to deal with that, because, I mean, he's the leader of a different nation, essentially. I believe he's the leader of the nation in this time, but yeah, so, I mean, if he was the king of Atlantis at that time, he would have to, kind of address the world, on the behalf of Atlantis, so that was cool. And essentially what this plot to this issue is that Superman gets an invite from a mysterious corporation called the Infinity Corporation, I believe, and they show him that there's all these different supermen dying from different timelines and stuff like that, and that the end game is kind of like he'll always die, and he's like, well, that everyone dies at some point, but like there's going to be some kind of catastrophic event that I guess ends the world early. So his kind of storyline is trying to figure out what that is, and then at the same time Parasite gets unleashed at a power plant, and the Justice League have to kind of form together to stop him. And I think that was the only issue that I had with this book, was that I think that the Parasite kind of subplot, that set piece, that action sequence was it was a little drawn out. I think it went on for like 10 to 15 pages almost, and I think it could have been shortened down to like 5 or 6, honestly, and had more setup for storyline, because at the end of this issue, I don't want to spoil what happens because it's kind of a big revelation, but the end of this issue kind of is really jarring compared to the rest of the book, because it just happens literally out of nowhere. It just happens, and you're like, oh, okay. I mean, I guess that'll kind of set up, I guess that'll lead into what is going to happen overall with the world and how it's gonna go to crap, and I guess maybe that's the reason that everything's getting blown up and destroyed and the universes are collapsing. But yeah, overall I thought this issue was pretty good. It was pretty decent setup. I liked how Brian Hitch drew the Justice League a lot. I've never seen him on a DC book before. He's always, as far as I know, been Marvel exclusive. He did the Ultimates 1 and 2 with Mark Millar, sorry. So I've always liked his art. I think it was really interesting to see him doing DC characters, like I said, and there was some pretty good 2-page splashes that looked great. It was almost like reading kind of an action movie, kind of like a Michael Bay level destruction, big explosions, big set pieces, really big widescreen action. So if you're into that, if you want to just pick up a fun Justice League book that's kind of exists out of continuity, you don't need to know kind of all this pre-established canon before reading it, I'd say pick this book up. Personally, I'd give it a 7.5. It wasn't amazing, but it wasn't completely terrible, and I'm kind of interested to see where they're going to go with this. So check back next month for our written review of Justice League of America, and be sure to check back on the Hybrid Network website for all your news and reviews.